This first 100 days of this presidency have been, there's a lot of ways you could call it. A lot of people have been coming up with good science, but their own spin on it. I would say it's been a historic debacle. But I would also say that one of the most important things to know about that is that the country is very clearly wide awake to it, right? This is not a secret. Quote, Trump appears to be less popular at the 100-day mark than any other president since the inception of approval polling, says the Financial Times. Headline, Trump's approval at 100 days lower than any president in at least 7 decades. Headline, poll finds more Americans give Trump an F than any other grade for his first 100 days. They asked Americans to grade him. More Americans gave him an F than any other grade. Headline, new polls reveal Americans, including Republicans, losing faith in Trump. And you pile on top of that the economic judgment that is pouring in now in reaction to Trump's bizarre economic policy decisions. Donald Trump's first 100 days mark worst for U.S. stock market since Gerald Ford. U.S. stocks have underperformed the rest of the world this year by the widest margin in more than 3 decades, as Trump's erratic policymaking sparks an investor exodus from American assets. Quote, U.S. economy shrinks 0.3% in the first quarter as Trump trade wars disrupt businesses. U.S. economy shrank in early 2025 as Trump tariffs sapped growth. I mean, it's bad. I would say it's an historic debacle. But, you know, it's not over yet. We're only 100 days in. How's he handling this bad news? How are his political skills at this moment for handling a political moment like this? Well, here's another headline for you from today. Headline, Trump on tariffs says, quote, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30. He really did say this on camera at the White House. I'll spare you the tape. I'll tell you, though, his exact quote was, well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, you know? And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. So that's a little snapshot of the president's political skills right now. That's his political instincts, his ability to know just the right thing to say in a difficult moment. That's how sharp he is at this point in his life. He is handling the disaster. Break it down along racial lines. 67% of Black Americans agree that Donald Trump is a dangerous dictator whose power should be limited before he destroys American democracy. 67% of Black Americans. Latino Americans, 63%. Asian American or Pacific Islander, 58%. It's only white people among whom a majority do not agree with that statement, but even among white people, it's still 45%. A dangerous dictator whose power should be limited before he destroys American democracy. Speaking of Trump's power being limited, court losses keep piling up for him. Trump is now being forced by the courts to reinstate the more than 1,400 people he tried to fire from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Trump has also just been ordered to pay Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty the $12 million in grant funding they were owed in April, according to their congressional appropriation, that Trump nevertheless was refusing to pay out. And that ruling is important on its own terms. But in that ruling, you should know, there was an important statement that went along with it. Language in the ruling from the judge in this case, who is a very conservative 81-year-old Ronald Reagan appointed judge in Washington. He closed his ruling in this case by noting that the constitutional paradigm that mandates that Trump can't block this funding that was approved by Congress, that constitutional paradigm in the judge's words. What a time, right? I mean, this is the end of the 100 days. This is the start of the second 100 days. And here's Donald Trump, less popular than any president has been at this point in his presidency since the dawn of modern polling. He's blaming Joe Biden for everything he's doing. He's complaining that the polls must be fake. All of them. He's telling America's kids that, you know what, they've had it too good and that's about to change. While meanwhile, the courts are finding their voice and the people never lost theirs in the first place. Second 100 days. The country seems like we're ready.
In Texas ruled that the president unlawfully invoked the Alien Enemies Act and blocked the administration from quickly deporting some alleged gang members. I want to quickly bring in Priscilla Alvarez, who's got the details. Priscilla, tell us more.
Dana, this is a significant blow for the Trump administration, which has wanted to lean on this sweeping wartime authority, the Alien Enemies Act. Well, a federal judge in Texas saying just moments ago that the president exceeded his authority by invoking this law that was intended to be used during wartime. Let me read you a snippet of what he said. He said, quote, allowing the president to unilaterally define the conditions when he may invoke the AEA, the Alien Enemies Act, and then summarily declare that those conditions exist would remove all limitations to the executive branch's authority under the AEA and would strip the courts of their traditional role of interpreting congressional statutes to determine whether a government official has exceeded the statute's scope. It goes on to say the law does not support this position. The position, Dana, that the administration has taken is that Tren de Aragua, that Venezuelan gang, is a foreign terrorist organization and that they are invading the United States. And so the administration has said that they can use the authority based on that. Well, this federal judge is not buying it, according to this opinion. And Dana, while there have been legal challenges across the country over the use of this act, this is again the first time that a federal judge is weighing in on whether or not the president exceeded his authority. ACLU's Lee Gallant told me in a statement that this is the first court, quote, to squarely rule on the fundamental question of whether a wartime authority can be used during peacetime, and properly concluded it cannot. Now, as far as for the immigrants who are detained in this judge's district, they cannot be deported under this authority as of now. But again, that is constrained to those in his district. But of course, Dana, this is going to launch perhaps several more steps in the court system when, again, this federal judge says that Trump exceeded his authority to invoke the Alien Enemies Act.
Before I let you go, Priscilla, just on that note, is it just these particular people who are alleged to be part of a gang that
Robert F. Kenner Jr. Topier to one show Fox News we week against span misinformation diagnosis or focus American about their health so candidate and their outland that even war seems done. The reason for the candidate appear was to decision HHKC the decision to the cartoon for this special delay like Oregon D and Red D number 2 are pushing out without shut off the removal over next 18 months in security. This move makes sense transition from State National altogether as money to fuel as more setup, but the candidate adds so the behind of these days. We are constitute and federal water to kick and to community mean their days. We are fighting to grow up and food lumps. Breakfast every day turn to our like and roads. This just hypotenuse dangerous, but these have to save a point. Food these as guide to the kids. This is the candidate and launcher claim to that 9 days just to the 2-hour Oregon B and Red B don't not to immigrant altogether. The removal to Red not with year the 6 year without 18 months. And that just the begin to candidate sent. This addition has been systemized to 30 years because instant to the running getting right to the California as joint to science and science on the issues America care about line to kick and eating twice. Let's stop to write all together and going to sense that surrounding likes something to hear candidate play a going to perfect its like to match their level. Instant candidate display has to implicate and their smart edge. to uncover altogether truth all to sanity has voting to silence is according to as absurd, and it's gets even worse. Candidates want to claim the food our kids and eat today. It's not real food. It's food like subscription. Some people petroleum refuse to real food against we are president only 3% of America and showed this 60% and to 74% kids to quality for the military service. First of all, the military state is flat out to lies to opposing but is not stepped and furious as does not have leasing out to 68 years. Men will separate to the 50% even to Veteran California. Calculation as way to America together light lends to old man candidate and try to tank level to drop 20% from historical level. World we like to also give silicons more vision and more against. Thanks for watching.